Welcome to the 411 podcast. I'm here with your president-elect and my co-host, Sam Olson.
And I'm here with your president and my co-host, Garrett Lepire. And today we are welcoming George Pickard, CEO of NNRMLS. George, welcome.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. So, George, tell us a little bit about your background and how long you've been with the MLS.
Okay, sure. My name's George Pickard. I'm the CEO for NNRMLS, and I've been with the organization since 2011.
Okay. Just a little while.
Just a little while.
Seen a couple
I
changes.
I started as the IT director in 2011 under Shelley Specchio as the CEO. In 2020, I was hired on as the CEO, or I was promoted in 2020 to be CEO, if you want to look at it that way.
Yep.
I love it. It's a great job. The industry is, of course, changing all the time, right?
Yes, it is.
And we have just a never-ending set of questions and problems to solve, and so it's been interesting. I'm definitely not bored in this position at all.
I tell people that all the time. There's never a dull day in real estate.
There is never a dull day.
Can't there be one day, though? Just one.
I mean, I guess be careful what you ask for. But at the same time, yeah, I just don't think it's possible now.
Yeah, it's certainly not.
Things are changing fast. Things are changing quick. And let's talk a little bit about some of that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah. George, there's a lot of talk going on right now about other search platforms.
Okay.
Like other search platforms, we're not going to use them by name, but people know what they are. And why would somebody want to use or subscribe to the MLS when all the information is still available out there, just readily accessible? Why is the MLS so vitally important to an open marketplace?
Well, the MLS, of course, it evolved from exchange of listing information between brokers in the late 1800s and several locations in the United States. And then it was books that were officially published, and then there were rules involved, and still largely an association activity for realtor associations. So there's a great deal of history and context regarding the realtor profession and this information, the structure, the information, the workflow, and that has not been something that could be scaled to a national kind of search platform yet anyway. So we're well aware that there's a lot of talk in the industry about national MLS, and that we have now, we literally have competition from some regional and local MLSs that have declared that they are national MLSs. So that's a new front of competition for us. And we have some other third-party kind of MLS platforms that do input, they do listing ad edit, and they have their own databases competing locally here as well. But I think it comes down to value, and it's value in the community that is facilitated by this platform and the association and the exchange of professional data in here, structured. It's data that has to comply with a lot of rules, and it's complicated. It's messy in making all of that happen. But the value is that at the end of the day, you guys as real estate professionals, you have the information you need to run a business, to at least to start at a level playing field that is the MLS, and work cooperatively as you compete for clients. It's kind of an amazing thing.
It is.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I kind of look at it like in real estate. If I want to go sell commercial properties and I want to sell manufactured properties and I want to sell residential properties, I'm going to be average at a lot of different things. And when I have an MLS that's focused on my region, they're going to be able to give me better data and serve that region a whole lot better, because they're not trying to be the jack of all trades all across the board. They're very specific in what they're trying to obtain. And that, like I said, same kind of principle in real estate dealing as an agent. If you try to be good at 10 things, you're probably going to be average at 10 things if you're lucky.
There's too many things.
Exactly.
Too many things. And sometimes I have clients who are like, oh, I want to talk about some like industrial space, in the commercial world.
Correct.
And there's no commercial MLS. you've got to go to one site and then another site and then the private sites from all of the commercial brokers, because there is no clearinghouse of information. There is no brokerage information exchange within that world. And I'm concerned that we're going to start seeing that creeping in, because people are like, oh, the MLS, they sit there and enforce the rules, and they enforce the rules for a reason. So we all have a clear set of data that follows RISO standards so that we can all go to the source.
Exactly, and we hear that side of the gripes that there's just too many fines or too many rules. We hear that, and we also hear the other side too, which is, why isn't the MLS doing anything about this? Why don't you enforce the rules, and why aren't you levying huge fines and that sort of thing, right? So we do hear it from both sides, and you can't make everybody happy, but we do have a long track record of equal enforcement of those rules as well. And so if somebody violates the rules, whether they are a new agent or they're a broker of a very large company in town, whether they're a volunteer leader with us or SNR, it doesn't matter. The compliance process treats all offenders equally, but we come at this primarily from an education standpoint, and we want to offer, in most cases, you can correct the problem. When there's a compliance issue, that issue is typically correctable, and if it's corrected within the time frame, with usually one business day, then there isn't a fine, and there isn't an escalation, there isn't a permanent record, right? But if the request to correct the problem go ignored, or if it's a more serious kind of penalty, then we also offer an educational route as an alternative to the fine. And most have taken us up on that offer, and I think it's working rather well.
Agreed.
Fantastic.
In what you were talking about, no central hub for commercial listings. As someone who has my CCIM and plays in the commercial marketplace, what we pay for our MLS is a whole lot cheaper than what you're going to pay for one of those websites, let alone all of those websites. And then you're limited in what you can see. If you don't have a certain package, it's not going to get pushed out to the most people. It's a bad system, in my opinion. And really what it does is it fragments the marketplace. And we're seeing some of those conversations in the residential marketplace. And I'm going to make a statement, and I want your opinion on that. A seller's most likely going to find their highest and best offer in the most open and broadest marketplace, open to everybody, whether they paid for this portal or whether they paid for that platform or whether they did this or that. The more people and the more exposure you can get to a listing, you're probably going to find your highest and best offer there.
Absolutely. 100% agree. And we have data that shows that. One of the things that I think demonstrates the value of MLS is the results of the study that we had commissioned several years ago that showed that on average, homes that were marketed on the MLS by a realtor received 17% higher sales price than those that were listed off the market or sold off the market, either FISBO or not entered in the MLS for cooperation.
17%.
17% higher, right? And that was for the typical home in our market, in the Northern Nevada regional market. That was $59,000 at last check. So $59,000 difference between those two paths of marketing your property.
Yeah, can't believe
Huge.
it.
That's a huge number.
So there is this report. It's called The Power of the MLS.
Power of the MLS.
Where
right.
can a subscriber or a member find that report?
So the members can access that on the members' website, members.nnrmls.com, or there's a button for the members' website on your Launchpad. Also, there's a client-facing version that is or consumer-facing version that's on our consumer website, nnrmls.com. That's a search portal that we offer to consumers. All leads on that search portal go back to the listing broker. And the member version of the Power of the MLS study, we've provided some tools that you as agents can use for talking with your clients about the benefits of MLS and the benefits of cooperation.
That would be a powerful thing to have and to be able to show your clients.
I think so. And so I'm proud of the job our team has done in not just packaging the results of that study in a useful, meaningful way, but condensing this down to some finite points that can be discussed and demonstrate value. help with listing presentations, or help reassure clients that may be feeling unsure of the path to go with all the headlines that are out there right now. There's a lot of confusion.
Makes sense. So AI has become a huge topic.
Yeah, man.
Not just in real estate, but across the board in business in general. How is the MLS leveraging AI?
Well, we, like a lot of businesses, are trying to figure out how to best use this to remain competitive. I think one of the things the MLS and the associations have to continuously ask themselves is how are we bringing value to our members? And AI is one of those things that's so rapidly evolving. There's a temptation to just bury your head in the sand and forget about it. But hey, the world is changing. We know that. And so how are we going to make the most of these amazing tools that are available out there? One of the things that I'm really excited about is we have soft launched, and probably by the time that this is airing for the members, will be fully messaged to the membership, that we have an AI tool that lets you configure your AI of choice. So if you use Claude or ChatGPT or Grok, Gemini, you can plug that into Flex MLS data. Now it's search, it's read only, but the power of being able to use natural language searching means you don't have to know where to click and the sequence of clicks or what a thing is called. You can leverage this amazing large language model technology to help you pull information, to help you with your own marketing strategies, with your business strategies, to just get specific market stats. Um, you can set up automated routines to give you a regular report on listing activity like a hot sheet. But think of a hot sheet in all the ways that you wanted to customize it that no MLS platform currently provides. Well, you can build it yourself with your AI of choice.
That's pretty darn cool.
So it's the MCP. And for those of our members who just like to dig in and get their hands dirty and start working with that stuff, in Flex MLS, just go to the menu and type AI, look for AI preferences, and that's all you need is a breadcrumb to get started with this thing.
Love it.
That's amazing. That's like a game changer.
Yeah, I absolutely
That's a-
think it is.
That is not just evolution of the platform, that is revolution of the platform. So that's amazing.
Thanks.
Completely agree. Could someone take that AI and say, tell me what's the best deal in my marketplace today?
Yes. And so you're going to get the AI setting up its own criteria for what is best if you don't give that uh, those parameters. It's not perfect. AI's got its glitches and hallucinations and all that, right? But it's getting better and better every day, kind of a frightening pace, actually.
Yep.
Yeah, and the different models have their different strengths and weaknesses. I've personally been using ChatGPT and Claude, and just for the last week, started working with this MCP server in Flex, and it's really cool. For nerds like me, my background was in tech. This was the day I dreamed about as a kid, and so it's fascinating. Of course, with AI, we got to have guardrails, right? So this is a read-only tool that it's similar to some of the large consumer portal plugins that have been launched out there. Zillow has one, Realtor.com has one, but a key difference is this is professional data, and it's geared towards the realtor workflow and thought process, which is slightly different than the case for the search portals. And circling back to the conversation earlier about those consumer search portal experiences and why be a member of an MLS if you can just search those. If you're a buyer's agent and just want to search a national portal, all the information's out there, right? Compensation information is no longer in the MLS, so is it still worth being a member of the MLS? Well, one thing is those platforms are geared towards consumers. They're never going to address the narrow use case of realtor. They definitely want to get consumer eyeballs, and so the tools they're some great tools, but they're not the tools that will probably be the most effective for your daily workflow.
Yep. That's very
Yeah.
true.
And I think that's a really important point that you hit is one of the big values of the MLS is the MLS is here to keep the agent centered within the transaction. and not trying to get to the consumer with skipping over the agent.
Absolutely. Our customers are our members, right? We don't provide consumer support for the market. When we get outreach from consumers, we will refer them back to their agent or the broker in some cases. But we focus primarily on serving brokers and agents in our market. Of course, appraisers are a valuable component of that as well. Um, and we have data consumers and data partners of the brokers that we also support when it comes to technical matters. Yeah,
Makes sense?
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, you guys are our customers, right?
And the customer service is fantastic.
Well, thank you. It's a
We-
big priority for us.
Completely agree. I just called tech service yesterday and had a question on how to do something. 5 minutes. And here's the thing: they always answer the phone. There's not very many businesses I call, and they always answer the phone. They
Yep.
always do. And tech service is always on it. Within 5 minutes, got your answer, and you're on your way.
Thank
Yep.
you. Well, I appreciate that, and of course, I mean, there are missteps along the way sometimes, and we just try to do our best and learn from those when they happen. But Andrew Cristancho, our director of training, has recently taken over training and support in a consolidated ways. It's now member experience.
Love that.
Because tech support has changed. It
Mhm.
it used to be that things would break a lot, and you would call and say, "This is broken." But now, when someone calls for tech support, it's usually they're calling to say, "Support me in knowing how to do a thing that I want to get done in the system." It's more of training kind of thing, right?
Before we jump back into the conversation, we want to take a quick moment to thank our amazing sponsors, Guild Mortgage Rush Team. Their support helps make this podcast possible and allows us to keep bringing you valuable content every episode.
So Andrew is amazing with people, and he's got a strong customer service background. So I think it's getting even better.
Yep. He's a great teacher too.
And he's a great teacher. Yeah, he is. He taught me how to ski. I mean, I used to just slide down a hill, and over the past couple of years, I had the pleasure of going skiing with him a few times, and he is. And I don't hope I don't open up a new side hustle for him as a ski instructor, but he is really good.
Awesome.
Awesome. I just want to go back and touch on this and give a use case.
Okay.
We've got a client who is 100% convinced that their home is in neighborhood X, but it doesn't show up that way on the MLS. And that's because of the multiple layers of data that the MLS pulls from our governments to help create those boundaries. So your client can think they're in neighborhood X until the cows come home, and you can go ahead and put that in the description. But when it comes down to that map that you pull from the county, they're not.
Right. So we have these government supplied map boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Parcel data will sometimes include a neighborhood code. And someone might have been in a house 30 plus years and said, "Oh, this is what we call this neighborhood." And it's not the same thing that's in the parcel data, right? So it's a challenge. We One of the things I think that AI will help solve is searching by that kind of data in a drop down the world that we're operating still largely today, a search that's driven by making selections and drop downs or typing in specific data as criteria. That's going to change to where you have this context awareness coming in with AI that will say, well, this is what it says in the parcel data, but my research indicates and my previous training indicates that the broader neighborhood is called this. And so we want to include that as well in your search and just give you better results that are more meaningful. Yeah.
So you mean to tell me that there's going to be a day where I'm not going to have to fill out 12 boxes with the different parameters, and I can use a plugin like you just talked about to say, I have a client priced up to 550,000 who wants to buy in South Carson City and needs at least 3 bedrooms and 2 baths with a minimum 1,300 square footage. And instead of having to fill out 12 boxes, I can just say that to AI
And the day is here.
and
The
it
day
gives
has
it to
come.
me.
Yeah.
What a
That's
beautiful day.
amazing.
It's a beautiful thing, right?
Yep.
Play around with this. Give this a test spin as soon as you guys can, because I think it's going to change the way that you're working with MLS data.
Agreed.
And we don't have crystal ball, but I'm in alignment with you on this is revolutionary. what we're seeing is the way we work with information is undergoing a drastic transformation.
Mhm.
The way that we MLS, the way you work with any information, it's more conversational and it's more, it's less limited and restricted. And, and I don't have the words to describe the awe that it's sort of a delightful, magical feeling when you type that sort of thing in or say it to the chatbot that you're working with, and it brings back amazing results and depth. And then depending on your pre-programming with your chat module, it can go those extra steps and give you more information, anticipating what you or your client may want to know and what may be important.
Can this new revolutionary search, can it search coming soons?
It can. We don't have coming soon in the MLS. So I think what I've seen is that the large language models are definitely aware of pre-marketing statuses. The MLS doesn't have a coming soon status. Um, so at this time, right, things are moving quickly though. So who knows by the time this comes out? But no, I think uh, where we're coming from as an organization, where our core principles are, we have clarity on uh, the market being best served when everyone has equal access to listing information. And so fragmenting that information into different silos, um, staging it so that it comes at different times to the full membership or to the full community is doing a disservice to the clients. And so that's something that's a bridge too far for us. We haven't been able to get there as far as being able to structure that kind of workflow in the MLS. We had it coming soon back in COVID. Uh, um, so 2020, when Clear Cooperation was first implemented, we also had a coming soon implemented. It was tremendously unpopular. Um, it was the thing that we received the most calls for, and brokers were pretty unanimous uh, um, in their desire to have it removed. And so it lasted about a year in our market and we sunset it. We paused it for a couple of years thinking, well, maybe the market conditions aren't right. And then we permanently got rid of it. And then along come these different coming soon from a national level, different types of coming soon options. And here we don't have a coming soon status anymore, right? So we feel we've been through this in the past and it didn't work for us locally. Um, of course, we're staying engaged, and if that changes, then we'll look at it again.
Yep. Well, I'm happy to hear we have some very smart brokers in our area. Yeah, because really, real estate, the whole ecosystem works on cooperation. So imagine a day where you have a buyer client who now has a signed buyer's broker agreement. So they have a contract with me,
Mm-hmm.
and they call and they say, I want to see 123 West 2nd Street. And you pull it up on the MLS. It doesn't live on the MLS. It's not there. And so you call your client back and you say, where'd you hear about it? Well, my coworker told me she lives next door. The owner is her friend. So I find out who that listing agent is, and I call that listing agent and I say, hey, you have a house for sale. I have a client that is my client under a buyer's broker agreement that would like to see this property. And that agent says, what company do you work for?
Thanks.
And I say the company that I work for, and they say, sorry, wrong company. You can't show that property because it's not open for you to sell it to that company. A, that's a violation of the Code of Ethics from the National Association of Realtors. So I want to be very clear about that. And B, imagine going back to my consumer and saying to that buyer, I'm sorry, I can't show you that house because I work at the wrong company
Right.
Yeah.
And you're under contract.
and I'm under contract. Now my buyer has a choice to not buy the house that maybe they wanted to buy because I work at the wrong company, or they go around me and go buy that house. And then I'm stuck going, do I sue my client because they went around me? That's a terrible thing, not just for realtors, obviously. That's terrible for the consumers. So having some protections around a consumer protection law that keeps the cooperation within our marketplace and within real estate, not just here. I mean, these are conversations that are happening across the United States. I think that is absolutely imperative to the future of our industry.
I would agree. I mean, there's only there are limits to what a professional organization, what the MLS can do regarding uh, those sorts of rules and enforcement of rules if the participants aren't willing to abide by the rules. In our where we are currently, we have a good spirit of cooperation in our market. We have a good mix of national franchise brands, national brands, and local independent companies. It's about 48% local independent, 52% membership wise
Yep.
national brands, and also a good showing of those local independent companies when it comes to production, both units and by volume. In contrast to the production of the national brands locally. And because of that dynamic, I think uh, it will be there will be a lot more friction in being able to bring about changes like coming soon or pre-marketing strategies as an MLS function from the top-down pressure that's going on with the national side of things, uh, because local independents are quite happy with the status quo and how it's been working. And so we do have some conflict between national and local, but locally, even with the national brokers and the independents, I think there's a solid agreement on continuing a cooperative marketplace. Definitely difference of opinion on how that works and how to get to um, the next phase and whatever that looks like. However, the the community is strong, and I think that's a large testament to SNR, your leadership, and April, and being able to make sure everyone is heard and has an opportunity to engage.
Yep.
Right?
And what I'm hearing you say there is that it wouldn't benefit the 52% of franchise brokerages to keep their stuff in their own little silo because that 48% is selling just as much real estate as they are or close to.
Pretty close.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And again, you're not opening it up to the biggest, broadest marketplace.
Right. Right.
You had an analogy, and I absolutely loved it. And then I changed it a little bit because that's what I do.
Love it.
Having these closed off ecosystems for marketing is like having a garage sale with the door closed.
It's true.
Personal opinion. Personal opinion. Got to cover that. But
Okay.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are various business models, and I think that's a good thing. It's innovation at work in the marketplace. Uh, there it's always a fine line to walk on making sure that we're facilitating cooperation, that there's a level playing field, and we're also not discriminating against any single business model, right? Definitely, it's could be tricky, and so I've been engaged with brokers on both sides of the fence of this coming soon discussion and the pre-marketing discussion. Uh, I think the most important thing is the conversation is continuing,
Mhm.
and we may be wrong. We have to realize that we may be wrong, and there may be new information that comes along at some point to change our mind about things.
Right.
But for now, um, it's a pretty solid principle that we have about cooperation and about exposure of listing the marketplace being most beneficial. There's fair housing as well to think about. Um,
I think the fair housing part of that is really, really important. But you're right. I've never thought more about the MLS and how information is sent out there, how information is aggregated than I have these last couple years. And it's been great. It's been a great mental exercise. I've had some awesome conversations with super smart people. You're probably sick of hearing about data from me.
Not at all. No.
But those conversations, they lead us to a better place.
Yeah.
And disagreement is not disrespect, and being able to have those conversations, just like you said, there's been times where I go, you know what? I didn't look at it that way. I didn't frame it in my head that way. That makes total sense. And all of that leads us to a better place for the consumer and for the agent.
And I think you guys are focused on serving your clients. The consumer interest is paramount for your business, right?
Correct.
And we believe the consumer is best served when real estate information is broadly accessible. The MLS, we're focused on your business needs, right? And so these are things that are related, but we're more B2B, and there's a B2B2C awareness that we need to have as well.
Correct.
So the world is changing fast, and we realize there's a lot of pressure to change. A lot of MLSs in the industry are talking about this pre-marketing issue, the coming soon issue, and whether they have coming soon or don't. Everyone's under pressure because even the way you do coming soon, if you do it, is being challenged. And there are different dynamics in different markets, of course. Locally, for now, we've decided for our market, not having a coming soon status in the MLS is the best way to go. We do have to enforce and abide by the National Association of Realtors Clear Cooperation rules, which require that a listing is submitted to the MLS for cooperation within 1 business day of public marketing. Public marketing has a lot of definitions to it, but if you post an ad on social media, if you're posting on social media about a listing in any way, generally, specifically, that triggers the public marketing rule, requires the listing to go into MLS. So that's the core foundation of MLS in the cooperative sense of when listing information must be entered, published for everyone to see.
Marketed by whom?
Marketed by anybody.
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 The seller?
So, great question. Even the seller talking about on social media, talking about their home just being listed, or that their home will soon be in the MLS, have an open house coming over the weekend. All of those things count as public marketing and require entry into the MLS. And the good news is the seller, if you're doing your job the right way, the seller should be fully informed of their responsibility regarding public marketing as well, because they initial the form that talks about this, that any public marketing will trigger this rule. Yep.
So even if I'm taking photos at my new listing and it won't be live for 3 days from now because I got my photos, got to turn it around, got to do some, you get the front yard gussied up, whatever it may be, and I just post a photo of me laying in the bathtub and saying "coming soon," that is a violation.
Well,
Could be.
to split hairs a little bit, it wouldn't be a violation unless the listing hasn't been entered into the MLS a business day later than your photo was published, right? So we're not saying you can't do those things. We're saying that if you do,
You have 24 hours.
you have 1 business day to put the listing into the MLS. Yeah.
Even photographers.
Even
stagers,
photographers. And so this
lenders.
this is a great point, because you guys probably get all kinds of influencer sort of advice to do a story about your listing. And let's do a story from the listing presentation and all the transaction life cycle, and help promote myself by giving an inside view of what it's like to work in real estate. And so I'm gonna talk about us doing the photographs for this, and now you're triggering the public marketing rule. You're trying to show behind the scenes and have a different niche marketing kind of tactic, but it's still marketing, and that's triggering the rule. It isn't perfect, clear cooperation, but it's the best thing we've got now.
Awesome. Thank you for that clarity.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we didn't cover that you think is important for our members to know?
let's talk about listing input forms.
Let's do it.
I think this is going to be something that people need to pay attention to over the next 3 to 6 months, because what will be a gradual change will start to speed up and become more of a black and white thing for folks who may be late to adopt some of the new features and enhancements. So right now we have 2 different versions of listing input forms. We've got the ones that are in Transaction Desk in the library, and then they're also in other forms platforms like SkySlope. But the MLS provides Transaction Desk, and so the MLS listing input forms are there in that system right now. But because those forms are static, they're PDFs that every time there is a change to a form, the Lone Wolf Transaction Desk programming team, the tech team at Lone Wolf, has to remap the entire 10-page form to the MLS system. And that process can take weeks to months, right? So every time we make a change to those forms, we've had to undergo that process, and it's no longer sustainable. It's no longer viable. So the forms that are in Transaction Desk now are the last printable PDF sort of forms of that style that we'll have. As we make changes to those input forms, they will come out of Transaction Desk and go to the other category, which is the Flex input form. And the Flex system can automatically generate an input form from a partial listing, from a published listing. You don't have to have it all filled out, but you could generate that form from the listing itself and send it to Transaction Desk to have your seller sign it. Once you send that form from Flex to Transaction Desk, and now you can choose which transaction it goes to, so that's been improved. Once you send that form over, if you make changes again to the form in Flex or to your listing in Flex, you could send a new copy and it just updates the previous copy that's over in Transaction Desk. And so when it's ready and final, ready to be signed, and you're going to publish in the MLS, you're taking your partial and complete to published, you can send the final copy over to Transaction Desk. Hopefully your transaction folder has all of your transaction data, your seller info, public records has been imported. So you can leverage all those autofill features and then have your seller sign it.
Love it.
It's remarkably more efficient than the previous workflow, but there's some pain, admittedly, in doing the new process. You have to do it a few times to fully see that this is going to be helpful. And another reason why it's so helpful is that it's mobile, right? So you can access that form from your Flex app and send it and work with your transaction from the Flex app, work with all the transaction data in Transaction Desk.
And the coolest part is, and with the form filling out and just putting a listing in, is that if that property was in there previously, it'll pull that information in there. Hopefully the agent who had it listed before you was good about their information.
Then you
So
should double check
you
it.
definitely should double check it. But it saves time. It's more efficient because, all those little things are in there. The zip code's in there, all those little things that, yeah, and it gives you a baseline foundation without having to sit there and check every single box.
Great point. The auto assistant feature in Flex to start your listing, if you utilize that workflow, you get a parcel locked in on the map location. So you solve that problem right up front.
Correct.
In the listing. And it really has been an issue with MLS data for a long time, that the map pin is in the wrong place. And that's right up front. That's solved. We pull in the public records data. If there was a listing before, pull in that information, of course, scan it, check it, make sure it's accurate. And in a lot of cases, 80% of the data for listing input can be pre-populated. And I think that's huge. That's
It's
a
a
big
huge
time
time
saver,
saver.
right?
Huge time saver.
Right.
Yep.
And that's just going to get better and better too.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. thank you for being here with us.
Well, my pleasure. This is fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation, and I love the fact that you're so knowledgeable about all these things that are going on and happening. And as a member, it makes me feel good that we have people that know what the heck they're talking about when it comes to these big challenges facing our industry.
It's the MLS industry, the MLS world is its whole thing. It's got its own terminology and culture, and it's adjacent to association leadership world.
Yeah.
I love it. I learn something new every single day. Yeah.
George, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
By the time this comes out, thank you so much for your participation in E3.
Wasn't it awesome?
It was great. I have no doubt.
That's that second day of E3. Yeah, Northern Nevada Regional MLS is our lunch sponsor that day. So make sure you get onto snr.realtor and sign up for that.
We're going to show you some of the AI tools at that E3, and we're if we're talking about this in the future tense, yes, we'll be showing the AI tools and that listing input workflow as well, with some hands-on, real professional experience input and how that rubber meets the road in that whole workflow. So I think that'll be a good demonstration for people who have been maybe a little reluctant to give that a try.
Love it.
Flex first. Yep.
Thanks, guys, for watching.